Going live. Wow. Am I here? Nine people in the house. Good evening. And you've come in early. Or is it I'm late? I'm a minute late. Good evening, Leanne Vine, Frank Casey, Steve Pace, Graham Allison, Jeff Arroway, Abigail French, Peter Piper. Good evening. Early in the house, eh? Early in the house. Well, I hope you've got your drinks ready. I don't know. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to ask me a question. It's quite difficult tonight because Susie Two Shoes isn't here. She's at work. She's left the lunatics in charge of the asylum. So there you go. Good evening, Michael McLaughlin, Kevin Polehill, Not the Tables, Carlos. Okay, so I have something to read out. Are you a dog trainer or content creator? Whoa. Oh, that's controversial to start with, isn't it? Are you a dog trainer or content creator? There is a huge trend for dog trainers to become content creators. Industry coaches and marketeers have convinced dog trainers that posting content consistently and attempting to create a big following on social media is the road for success. If you are on Instagram, you have seen the content, short reels that are mostly repetitive word salad nonsense. All sizzle and no steak. All sizzle and no steak. Who do you think is peddling that? Who do you think is peddling it? Very, very successful dog trainer. Very, very successful dog trainer. If you want to go to one of his seminars, it's going to cost you 10 grand. 10 grand. He puts up stuff on the internet, but he doesn't show you how to train dogs on the internet because he keeps that. Ivan, well done, Graham. Look at that. Straight top of the class for you, Graham. Top of the class. So let's carry on. Are you doing something anyone can easily do? Let's be honest. Any moron can log in to those apps and post nonsense on social media all day. The barrier of entry and skill level to do this is zero, which makes the competition extremely high. That's why me and my TWC team are not into content creating and followers game. There you go. There you go. So he doesn't want people to follow him. Well, he's on the media, isn't he? He puts himself out there. I've listened to some wonderful podcasts. What's he on there if he's not creating attention? I love these dog trainers. I love these dog trainers because I believe in freedom of speech. But as soon as you start talking about other dog trainers, and I've promoted Ivan, and I've showed his stuff, and I've listened, and I agree with so much what he's trying to do, but I don't have to agree with everything. I don't have to agree with everything for anybody. I can have a difference of opinion, but I also promote trainers, and that's the important thing. If I was doing nothing but slagging trainers off, then that wouldn't be, I don't think that's good business, is it? Slagging trainers off. But if you're talking and debating gun dogs or dog training by using other people's work and showing their work and debating about their work, critiquing their work, if you put your head above the parapet and you go on the internet and you put stuff up, you have to accept you're going to get some people who like it and some people who don't like it. I've never been a fan of TikTok. You've never seen me on TikTok. I'm too busy teaching. I'm too busy educating. I believe I put my videos up not for my own self-gratification, to look at me, look how fantastic I am. I put my videos up to try and help people because I'm fed up with the social media that people reckon you can train dogs with love and affection. And I talk about that subject a lot because it's one of my pet hates. It's one of my pet hates. Like I say, there's some good dog trainers out there that I would happily recommend, and they're friendly with me, but they don't talk about discipline. And so, honestly, I'm not promoting them for that reason, because I believe that it's part and parcel of everyday stuff. Busy doing real stuff, says Leanne. Yeah. Good evening, said Martin Lawrence. I believe that I watch so much. Should I not watch anything and only stick to my own way and promote my own way and dismiss everything else, or don't even talk about everything else? Or is it an open platform? And because we're on Patreon, it's a good platform to be honest and debate, because that's the problem with today's society, isn't it? People can't debate. They can argue, they can bitch, but they find it very difficult to actually debate. You can agree to disagree and still be polite, can't you? And that's important to me. So when people tell somebody else, oh, Chris Upton was talking about you, and they get their knickers in a twist, that's not my problem, because if they ask me the question, I'll tell them why I was talking about them or what I was discussing about dog training in general and highlighted them, but not rubbishing them in a nasty way. I don't want to go out of my way unless somebody goes after me and blatantly goes after me. Then I have every right to fight back. And I believe that not enough people do. But the problem is not enough people say what they perhaps want to say. They want to keep as many followers as possible and not rock the boat and have everybody on their side. And that's down to each individual, but that's not me. And I'm lucky that I've got a following that I've got. I'm lucky that I've got a following that I've got because I'm so controversial. I have to accept the fact that why should I change and be a different person just to get more followers? I'm not interested in that. And this psychobabble that I get on a regular basis from Ivan about how to become a better trainer and how to promote your business and not work so hard, but gain more structure and understanding and following from the right people. I read through it, but I don't take it on board because it's sales technique. It's patter. And I don't know if Ivan's done it. And I'm not slagging Ivan, but what I'm saying is we all handle our business differently, don't we? Some people put up 2-minute videos of just a well-trained dog. No problem. Look at my dog. Look how good I am. No problem at all. Our group is about helping each other and helping people with different standards. Steve said it's good to look at other forms of training and then breaking it down and take what you need out of it. Exactly, Steve. Exactly. And that's what I promote, isn't it? I promote quality trainers that talk about the subject of discipline as well. Not because I'm one trick mind, not because I haven't got an open mind and that's the only way. Good evening, Tracy Dodds. What title tatted causes issues? Best deal with genuine facts. Tittle tattle. Tittle tattle. Title tittle. Tattle tittle. That's I'm dyslexic, see? Yeah. Tittle tattle causes issues. Best deal with genuine facts. Exactly. So, Julie Neese, good evening to you, sir. We've had two absolutely chuffed us out, Jules, about receiving squirrel skins. Squirrel skins. Honestly, things people get excited about. All because of you, Jules. So what I'm saying is, I watch so much on the internet because I want to open my mind. I have an open mind and I want to take in as much as I can. And then I'm watching this so-called dog trainer, and I actually put it onto my Facebook. It'd be easier if I just flick onto my Facebook. Yeah, so this evening, well, this afternoon, watching somebody on YouTube. This is what Ivan's on about. People on these forums just as watch the so-called professionals say that English Springer Spaniels point, hunt, and flush. I don't want my Spaniels pointing, thank you. That's what I've said. If I was you, I would stick to dog walking and grooming. And this video has had 567,000 views and 42,000 likes. Doesn't that show you the understanding that people have got out there? Because anybody who knows anything about Springer Spaniels, English Springer Spaniels, we don't want them pointing. They're not a pointing dog. We don't want them pointing before a flush, do we? Right? And you can make dogs sticky if you make them point. And if they start to point, you've got to get them out of it. If you ran a dog in competition and it pointed before it flushed, and that's why we talk about a contact flush. And if you haven't got people out there on the internet giving you the right information, when these people come up with this garbage that they peddle, and this wasn't a short feed that this woman put up. This was a long feed, but you've got people liking it when it's false information. Now, it doesn't get taken down. What? What they're talking about? I love mine. Oh, we're still talking about squirrel skins. Sorry, I thought we were talking about pointing. I thought you were talking about pointing. That is misinformation, full stop. Exactly, Steve. But it doesn't get taken down because the people who run Facebook, YouTube, or whatever, they haven't got that knowledge. So they can't say that's false information, take it down. But it's technically false information. But it's got 42k likes. 42k likes. It just shows how vulnerable and gullible people are, doesn't it? And that's the problem. The reason that I came into the internet world was to promote my business. But I didn't promote my business by putting video after video after video. I started on these forums disagreeing with the people who didn't have a clue. What did it do? It just caused shitstorm. It just caused a shitstorm because there's so many like-minded people with no idea. So if you say that a dog can be trained with love and affection, and that's the only way to train a dog, and you come along and go, no, disagree, corrections. Dog needs to learn boundaries. What are you talking about? This is Fido. This is my friend. You soon learn after a few years that you're wasting your time with them people because they will not change their mindset because it's like lemons all heading over the cliff. Look, they're having a personal conversation here. Jules, he's taken over. Jules has. Look at it, Julian Lees, he's taken over. I'll sit here and just listen. Hang on, let's read it, shall we? I'm a nosy bugger, aren't I? A nosy bloody bugger. Yes, he does. He makes them, and the work he puts into him is unbelievable, Liam. Unbelievable. He's a skilled surgeon, that man. Michael McCocken, sad news out of Ireland tonight with the death of Sinead O'Connor. What a voice and icon. Yeah, she had a beautiful voice, didn't she? She turned to, she became a Muslim, didn't she? She become a Muslim, I think. She reckoned that Prince beat her up. Do you know that? She reckoned that Prince beat her up. I have a small one. Stop it. Oh, for God's sake. And thank God that was Leanne Vine. I have a small one. Do you make bigger ones? He makes massive ones. He's got 12 inches, but he doesn't use it as a rule. Stop it. That's so old. So old. 12 inches and doesn't use it as a rule. Yeah, so let's just talk about squirrel skin, shall we? The importance of the squirrel skin. Yes, look, honestly, look at this, look. Look at him, look. Honestly, she's winding him up, look. He's getting all hot under the collar. Could you two find a room, please? Anyway, I was watching Katie Hopkins, and she does a thing like this, and I think it's a Katie Hopkins pub or something, and she rants and tries to put the world right, and I watch it and I think, I wonder if she's picked that idea up from me, because this is what this can turn into, isn't it? Chris, do you think that these trainers playing as pet gun dog training is going to train the dog to a level of a part trained dog because the owners won't put the time in, but they think they know it all? I just think they struggle so much, Steve, because we see them come here, don't we? We see them come here and we see that they spent a lot of money and they've been missold an ideology that just doesn't work, does it? And that's why a lot of our group are helping other people and getting success from that, because you've got to show that it works. Somebody who's only going to pay you so much. And one of the things that Ivan says on that thing, he says, because of the recession and all that, people will cut back on the extras that they pay out on, like the dog training lessons, and so the dog will suffer and all this. I don't think the dog will suffer if you follow Chris Upton on Patreon, because it motivates you to get out and train the dogs like you've showed us, all you people, and train dogs to good standards. Like some of the people in the group have really stood out and showed that they can train a dog as well as I can train a dog. And that's not lying, that's reality. That's reality, because they've got the tools, because they've listened and they like what they saw. So you've got to show people your dogs to get them on board to begin with. But once you've got your dogs, once you've got those people on board, then I reached out to help other people. So at first I showed the quality of my work. That brought people in and said, I want a dog like that. Yeah, look at this, look at this. It's all kicking off here. It's like a jumble sale, isn't it? At the end of the day, most people think well-trained dog gives you a paw and rolls over for a treat. Yeah, you're right, Michael. But the thing is, they are the people that come into our world trying to tell us what we do is barbaric, and we're out with a dinosaur. No, don't worry about it, Leanne. Don't worry about it. He's a lovely chap. I'll give you his telephone number. What I'm trying to say is, I like looking at other forms of training, all forms of training with dog trainers, but I can spot a charlatan straight away. And so I've shared people who are not into gun dog training, but they're into other sports training or other forms of training dogs. And I've said, I rate that person. That person shows you in a nice, moderate way how to get the best out of a dog. And I agree with their ideology. Steve says the right knowledge is a godsend, and that it's all about passing it on to the next generation. And I think you're dead right there, Steve, because that's exactly what it is, isn't it? It's about passing it on to the next generation. And if we don't pass it on, I shared a video to mention the bloke's name. Got quite a few followings on the video, I noticed. And he's talking about, I think he was over in Australia, and I shared it with the group, and he's talking about spaniels. And so much of what he's saying is brilliant. Agreed with so much of what he was saying. And he bought good quality line that he mentioned somebody on there that I know who's in the UK, who's a good dog man. I'm not going to mention his name. Why? Because he doesn't talk about discipline, but he's a good dog man. He's another bloke that is liked by so many people because he's not controversial. Perhaps that's the way to go. I'm not interested in that. It's down to each individual. But what I'm saying is, he sat one dog at the bank with him, sent the other dog on the water, and the dog sitting next to him made a noise. Now, if he's buying from the elite dog trainers of this country, and this person is an A-panel judge and a spaniel man, and he's bought this spaniel from him, and people will know who watched the video in the group who I'm talking about. But if I named him publicly, somebody could say, you sold a dog that's got a noise, just because the next thing I'm going to say. So it's taken the conversation into context, where I don't know where the dog that sat on the bank with him came from, whether it came from his kennel, his breeding, or not. But noise can be created by putting a young dog under too much pressure too soon. So, or it could be in the breeding. And if you listen, if you watch the video with the two dogs on the bank, he sends one dog for the retrieval on the bank, and the other dog makes a slight noise with frustration, and in competition, you'd get put out for that. Now, I think you should be put out for it, because where do you define what's too much noise? You know, if you hear a dog make a noise and you say, I'm sorry, but your dog made a noise. Yeah, but it didn't make a noise. I didn't hear it make a noise. You get into an argument with people, don't you? You have to make a rule in your head that if you're judging, if a dog makes a noise, it makes a noise. You can't say it made a little noise, I'm going to turn a blind eye to that. Oh, that dog made more noise, because then somebody's going to say you didn't put that dog out for noise, but you put that dog out for noise. So my own opinion is, if I'm judging and I hear a noise from a dog, I'm going to go, sorry, but you have to put your dog on a lead. Why? Because it made a noise. But also, if a dog has got hard mouth, I'm going to put you out for hard mouth. But I might give you another bird. I might give you the benefit of the doubt if the bird, when it was shot, comes down and hits a tree on the way down. I'm going to feel that bird and make a decision. And if that bird is in, I'm going to think, right, I want to give you another bird, because I'm not going to put you out willy-nilly, because the fall may have done that to that bird. And so it's being sense and sensibility, isn't it? I'm not looking to put people out when I judged. I don't judge anymore, so I can say what I want. I'm not held to the Kennel Club's authority. I can say what I want. I can say I want to be treated by someone else, so that's the way I'll treat you. I'll treat you the way I'd like to be treated. And so I'm not looking to put someone out, but I'm not going to let a dog go through if it's got a hard mouth and say, I'm not worried about hard mouth. I know a judge that said to me, I'll never put a dog out for hard mouth. Well, you know what judge to run under if you've got a dog with hard mouth, don't you? If he openly talks about that when he was judging, I'll run under him. Now, he had his reasons why, but I didn't agree with him. And yet we were friends. So I'm not going to name him, but we were friends. But I don't have to agree with everybody. And that's the whole point about dog training. You don't have to agree with anything I say. You don't have to be on here. If you come on here, we have a bit of a laugh, sometimes a bit of controversy, and other times you get educated. Other times I just act the bloody idiot, don't I? Because you lot push me. You push me barriers. So that's the whole point about dog training in my eyes. And I find it so much more refreshing doing it in the group. For hard mouth, are you looking if the dog is crunching the bird on the way back as a sign? Well, there's a number of things, Stephen. It's a good subject to talk about, but we could do a whole video on it. You know, if a bird, I send a dog for a bird, the bird's a runner, and dog's coming back with it, and as it gets back to me, it's dead. That tells me something, doesn't it? It doesn't mean it's hard mouth. The bird could have been dying on the way back. But what I'm saying is, I will check it. But I check every bird when I was judging that came back, and if the rib is in, then I've got to make a decision, don't I? But if the dog is pulling it out of very, very thick cover, am I going to give that dog a little bit of benefit of doubt, because if the bird is fighting in there and the dog's had to grab hold of it a little bit firmer to get it out, I'm going to give the dog benefit of doubt. But you have to use judge's discretion, as they say, and that's your get out of jail card, isn't it? Judge can say, nah, that was no problem. Look after your mate, but don't look after the bloke down the road who's had a right good run with his dog, but you want to put him out. I'm not that sort of person. I treat everybody the same if I'm judging them. David Jones says, I see a lot of videos of young dogs in training being put under massive amounts of pressure. Training is not a race. Dogs should mature at different rates. Each one has to be taken on an individual basis. Absolutely spot on, David Jones. Absolutely spot on. I agree 100% with you. I agree 100%. There's too many people look at my dog and they got a 6-month-old dog hunting like a demon. You don't see those dogs when they're 2 years old, do you? Because they're sold down the road, they're making noise, they've created problems, the dog won't retrieve properly. It's like David says, it's not a race. But you won't know that unless you come over. I mean, there was the videos on YouTube, wasn't there? But there's not the videos on YouTube like there used to be, because I have to make a living, and I've gone in that direction onto Patreon. And Patreon, I absolutely love the fact of the group on Patreon, but I don't get the views that I get if I stick something on YouTube. I don't get the views because we haven't got thousands and thousands and thousands of members. But the difference is, when I'm doing that, I'm doing that all around the room. There's a freaking fly again. I hate them. I bloody hate them. and it keeps flying in front of us. So I was trying to catch him. I'm not waving to anyone. It does look a bit strange, doesn't it? I bet you're thinking, what's he doing? He's having a fit. So it's back to that same scenario. So this guy who we're talking about, who's over in Australia, I agree with so much of what he said. But one of the statements he says is all gun dogs are soft-mouthed. You can't make that statement. That statement is foolish. All gun dogs should be soft-mouthed, but they're not. But when you make those sort of statements, it shows you naivety. And yet he said, I've been training dogs for 30 years. Well, if you've been training for dogs for 30 years, in some ways you could say, have you created your own lines? And so you're very particular of what you've got. And why are you training a young dog, a very young dog, next to another dog that you sent for a retrieve, and now that dog's made noise? You didn't say nothing like, oh, you got to be careful with that situation because you can create that problem if you try working a young dog with an older dog, and the frustration can come out and it can create a further problem. My job as a trainer is to give you the positives, look at your videos, look for the pitfalls and tell you just be careful there, don't rush it, don't do this, don't do that. And that's what it's about. But with our group, I want the group to have a laugh as well, so that we use banter, we have a bit of a laugh. I don't go out of my way to upset people, but sometimes you might say the slightest thing and someone takes it the wrong way, or they look at it and go, I've interpreted what you've said in a different way. And I can't help that how you interpret how you take on board what I say is down to each individual. But in general, if you've been in the group for over 12 months, you'll know that I don't think I go out of my way to rubbish anybody directly. And yet I give advice. And I think that's important. But I have to give honest, constructive criticism when it's due. But I also give praise, and I also promote trainers that are open-minded and say it the way they see it. And they talk about discipline. And that's my pet hate, when trainers do not talk about discipline and correction, or brush over it, when I know that they use exactly the same sort of discipline and correction that I use. They just want to word it differently. Do you think that there's where the problems start? Training a young dog with an older dog, best train them separately. I think so, Leanne. I think it's really important to not push that young dog in a situation too soon. A lot of trial people, a lot of competition people like to put a young dog in the middle of a pack of 4 or 5 Labradors and just make it sit there and switch off and learn to switch off, and don't really give it too much too soon, and think that creates less temptation to create a problem. I've never done that, but I know some good trainers who have done that. So I'm not saying, I never say never, but I've seen people trying that here with a couple of dogs, and it creates a problem. I'm a firm believer that I might take 5 dogs on a shoot, and I've got the truck right next to me. I leave 4 dogs in the back of the car or back in the yard and take the shoot vehicle, and then in the afternoon swap those dogs over. I might take 2 with me, but I don't take 5 or 6 dogs. I've never done that. Your video is a huge help, and if followed and not rushed, you will get a well-balanced, capable shooting companion. David, that's exactly what it's about, isn't it? That's what it's about. And the proof is in the pudding, because we've had success. You've seen the people. The Australian video, all the spaniels' tails appear to be undocked as working gun dogs. Is that the best? I don't know if they were undocked, Julian. I'd have to watch it again. I didn't really look at that. But a lot of trial people, a lot of people who want competition, they don't have a tail docked as much as a lot of people in the shooting world. You know, that's what I'm saying. 6 weeks old Pulse in the pens last weekend. What's your top advice to have dogs in top condition for the season? Michael McLaughlin. Well, you've got to get out with them and work them, innit? I mean, I love the fact that when the birds are out of the pens and start dogging in early with them, you can get your dog very, very fit. I think that going back to that bloke in Australia, like he says, well, it's hot, you can't do nothing with the dogs. It must be terrible in Australia if if you're in that sort of heat and the dog's got to lay around all day. You can train in the evenings. I mean, in this country today, you could have gone out training. Here you could have, because it was just drizzle all day. It was just drizzle. It was okay. It was overcast, but it was drizzle. Yesterday we had patches of it. It was absolutely boiling. I was out with a guy and we had to rest the dog within 15 minutes because the dog's hunting was blowing like crazy. We had to rest the dog. But you can build the stamina up, can't you? But I like the fact of the change in seasons in this country. So you've been up on the rabbits, getting the dog fit on the rabbits in August. You then start dogging in when you come back, sort of end of August. You start pushing birds back and getting the dog fit. So by the time you get to the shooting season, you've got a very fit dog. Another thing about in the kennels, how many people think dogs need to be out all the time? Dogs are amazing. They can adapt and switch off and go to sleep in the sun and lay there in the sun crashed out. They're not looking to train when it's that hot. It's in your mind. I haven't taken the dog out. I haven't taken the dog out. You'll have a better dog if it's really hot for 3 days. You don't bother taking it out. And you don't take it out because you don't want to burn the pads. There's no point in hunting it. You're just going to blow it up within 5 minutes. Flush and stop is the best way to condition the dog and get it ready, in my opinion. Yeah, flush and stop all day long. And the tennis racket game is a good game, isn't it? If you've got a number of dogs and you want to get them fit, you can build up the drive and the desire with that way as well. But you'll be surprised how dogs can keep reasonably fit. In a competition, you're only going to run that dog for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour at the most normally. Now, I've seen many a hard hunting dog blow up after 30 minutes. 30 minutes is a long time for a competition dog that you specifically get ready for competition. That doesn't mean you can't condition him once you retire him, or you're not going to run him in competition and you take him out and shoot over him for an afternoon. You can work him and he has to learn to pace himself. But it's like a short distance runner compared to a long distance runner. A long distance runner can't keep up at the same pace as a short distance runner. And so it's horses for courses. And I liked, when I was really, really madly into competition and the shooting, I like to work my dogs on the shoot as well as in competition. But that's why I would swap the dogs over. I would do 2 drives and swap a dog over. So he's only done 2 drives, but those 2 drives is enough for that dog. But some people go to a shoot and work the dog all day on the drives and then want to go do some duck shooting at the end of it and stuff like that. Each to their own. But I'm only showing you what I've done over the years. And I can't think just in competition mode. I have to think the average shooting man. What does the average shooting man want? And the average shooting man doesn't want what a trial man wants all the time. Now I get so many people saying, oh, trial dog. I wouldn't want a trial dog. They're useless. I disagree. A good trial dog is a real asset, a real good shooting dog. They should be able to cross over. Unfortunately, in today's modern world, they don't want that. They don't want a thinking dog. They want a dog to be a robot. And you've got to give them what they want. And you don't want your dog coming off that line if it's a Labrador. Well, I'm not interested in that game because it's not my cup of tea. But it doesn't mean I can't teach it, because I can teach you how to keep your dog on the line. And I can teach you how to listen to you and follow your commands. So you have to change your mindset when someone comes here who wants a competition dog compared to a little shooting dog. A little dog they can take out and shoot over and comfortably say, I had a wonderful day with that dog. A shooting dog can make a few mistakes, can't it? You're not gonna lose your rag with it. But if you're in competition and you've got to get that dog to a very high standard, I've seen so many people over the years lose their rag through frustration, thinking if he does that to me on competition, I'm screwed. And then they go to competition and the dog does them, and then they come to me going, how do I correct it? Well, you shouldn't have gone to competition. You've run 5 or 6 competitions, the dog's become what we call trial wise because you haven't trained it right. The same as what I say about you shouldn't be taking a dog on a shoot till it's trained. How many people do you see with a dog on the shoot that's their pet at home, and they think because it's genetically a gun dog, I'm going to take it beating. I'm going to take it picking up. And then some of them keep the dog on the lead all day on the shoot, and it does nothing but get frustrated. Isn't it wonderful when you can walk through the woods with your dog and have it hunting in front of you, flushing and stopping, flushing and stopping, flushing and stopping, and everyone looking at you thinking, I wish I had a dog like that? Well, you can if you train the Corleone way, and you guys know it. You girls know it. It's a way that we train. We get the results by using gameplay. Yeah, the answer is I see that all the time. That's another thing I was talking about today. I watched a video, and it says, if you want to teach the dog to switch off, keep it on the lead during the drives. Have you ever heard such shite? If you want to teach a dog to switch off, keep it on the lead during the drives. Why take the dog? Why take the dog? The dog's supposed to be able to sit there during the drive. And I explain why. Because when birds are dropping and you want to send your dog for a runner, if you've got to bend over, take the lead off the dog and wait that couple of seconds, by the time you take the lead off the dog, it's lost its mark and it's running across the field. Another bird comes down, it swaps that one, moves to the other one, and then you've got no control at all. If that dog is focused on, like a missile, on everything you tell it, and you watch the dog and you've trained it right, you don't have to handle it. Very seldom do you have to handle it, because the dog's seen it. It just get out or go back or fetch or whatever word you use, right? And a good trainer makes it look really simple. It's like poetry in motion. A good trainer makes it look so simple. Surely keeping the dog on the lead is admission to failure. It's pathetic, Michael, but we see it. We see it. And those people, not being funny, they get paid as much as you do on the shoot for working your dog, putting your dog, using your dog as a tool, working your dog, picking hundreds of birds. You know, you might pick 100 birds on some shoots with down here with a dog over 6 drives or 5 drives. And at the end of the day, then you've got people coming in, dog on a lead. They don't want to send the dog during the drive because if they do it, it's not going to come back. It'll run around all over the place. They then let the dog off at the end of the drive and it's running past you where you've got a pile of birds that your dog's picked during the drive, and your dog is now out there sweeping up, making sure there's nothing else out there. And they're taking birds off the pile and going back to the owner, and the owner thinks they're brilliant. They think their dog is brilliant because it's coming back with bird after bird after bird. It's an absolute joke. It's a farce, but they love it. They think that's the day out. Fido's having a wonderful time. And guess what? Each to their own, I say. But you go and do it over there and leave me over here to do it on my own. And that's why it was important to me that when I was the picking up captain, I had a picking up team that people would be jealous about. And then all of a sudden, the owner starts saying, oh, here's Mary, that's so-and-so's partner. Can you take them for the day picking up, Chris? And there's Florence, and she's got this 3-legged dachshund. Can you take that dog? Because she'd love to pick up and watch her husband shoot. And then her husband's got a dog that's screwed to the ground. And as soon as the shot goes off, the dog rips the screw out of the ground on the lead, running around, and it's fucking flickering around. It's a dangerous animal as well. And he's got no control. He's going, come here, you bugger! Come here, you bugger! And I'm thinking, is he talking to his wife? Or is he talking to the dog? Too many have a dog called Avok. I help out on a syndicate shoot, and a lot of the people are shooting men first, and the dog work is crap. But they will say how good they are getting runners. They will say how good they are getting runners. Exactly, Steve. But funny enough, an out of control dog soon learns the skill of getting runners because he's halfway down on the bird before the bird's even recovered. And then when the bird does run, because he's self-taught, he actually teaches himself more than some people can teach a dog, because there comes a point where the dog's got the natural ability. The skill is knowing when to control it. So you, in some ways, those dogs, and I've seen it on shoots where you're sitting on a valley and we're pushing one side down and then the other side, and the guns are in the valley. So we're just moving down, 60, 70 feet, and then stop, and then the other side move down, and we just put the birds over the guns, both sides. And I've sat watching dogs 70 yards out, away from everybody. The beat line is reasonably straight, but not brilliant. But I've seen dogs 70 yards out having a wonderful time, flushing. Well, they're the dogs getting all the experience, aren't they? Because if you're keeping your dog nice and tight, you're only going to get 1/3 of the flushes that crazy dog's going to get. But that crazy dog is ruining the day for everybody else. But some people have got no control. And that's why I don't go on those sort of shoots very often, because I'd rather rough shoot over my dog and thoroughly enjoy it than be part of, is it Fred Carno's circus? Is that what they say? But don't get me wrong, I've had some wonderful shoots over the years, and rough shooting days as well, that we've had some wonderful shooting. And yeah, okay, my dog flushes a bird, up it gets, I shoot it, and 3 dogs run in. I just sit there laughing because it's so funny, because my dog's got steadiness. My dog's not losing out on that. I just think, I've seen people get so frustrated. That was my freaking bird. Why have your dog, get your dog back, get it under control. I think, calm down. How about the steadiness for your dog? But you wouldn't want it all the time, would you? That's the difference. So I position myself on the outside so I know that I can shoot stuff to the side and send my dog from and stuff like that, or shoot stuff that goes back. Sometimes I'll be back gun and let everybody go forward and just clean up anything that people have missed. The amount of birds that I'll find with a dog that hunts the ground and got good ground treatment, it really matters. So there's another reason for positioning yourself in the right position on a shoot sometimes. But you won't know that until you've gained the experience and the understanding. And that Australian guy, I'm not rubbishing, but what I'm saying is it's misinformation again, isn't it? It's misinformation, because if you say all gun dogs are soft-mouthed, if he'd said all gun dogs should be soft-mouthed, but unfortunately, training can create that problem. Being hard on a dog can create that problem. Punishing a dog with something in its mouth can create that problem. You've got to be so important that those associations, when you give discipline, have got to be at the right time, in the right moment, because that's what we talked about with the e-collar, didn't we? And that's another thing I was talking about today, about wanting to ban the e-collar and the positive only so-called movement, saying that is a barbaric tool, and yet they're quite happy for dogs to be shot by a farmer, and yet they don't see the side that the dog can have freedom, the dog can have a far better life, and the dog could be saved from being shot if it's a problem dog and it's chasing livestock. How many times have you seen now that Chris gets the e-collar out and teaches the dog a reasonably quick, short, sharp lesson? That's not acceptable. And the dogs don't fold, do they? The dogs don't hold that. They don't hold that grudge, do they? They learn from it and go, I'll avoid that then. But you've got the positive only so-called movement that will say, that's barbaric. If you're having to use an e-collar, you shouldn't be training dogs. You don't need to train dogs with an e-collar. You can train dogs without an e-collar. Hang on, that's only part of a statement that's true. You can train dogs without an e-collar, but you train dogs that have learnt to kill and had the fun of the chase on sheep or cattle, any cattle, right? They've had the fun of the chase, right? You're going to have to change the mindset of the dog, and you ain't going to do it with love and affection. And that's the difference between a trainer that will take on. It's like a pet trainer. There's plenty of pet trainers out there who, I can train your pet, and then all of a sudden they get a hard case. They get a vicious dog. Oh, I'm not taking that dog on. Or breed Pacific. Oh, I'm not doing that. That's a bully. That's part of a bully family. Oh no, Alsatian. No, I don't want to go nowhere near that. Oh no, Mallee. No, don't do that. No. Oh, Pointer. Oh no, they're terrible dogs to train. I've seen people freaking turn yellow. I've seen them turn yellow when I've said, okay, show us how good you are with that dog there. And that's with a spaniel or a Labrador that's assertive. So they would not stand a chance. They would not stand a chance with the genetics of other breeding. This is the problem, isn't it? And so anybody can go on the internet and pretend that they're a dog trainer. That doesn't mean you are a dog trainer, does it? But there's nothing wrong with people helping other people, but staying in your lane for what you understand and what you. I would never try and pretend that I'm a protection sports trainer. Never. If someone came to me with a dog like that, I might have a slight understanding in certain areas. I might have watched a lot of people, but I am not an expert in that. I stick to what I know, what I'm talking about, where I've been successful. I've had success. I can prove I've had success, but my work talks for itself with all the brilliant feedback we get over what I've had over the years. And there's nothing wrong with sharing the feedback when someone says, you've changed my life. You've given me and the dog a fantastic relationship. That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what this group is about, isn't it? It's about honesty. It's about integrity. It's about watching the smile on someone's face when they come here and they go, I've been watching your videos for a long time. I haven't gone anywhere training. I don't care where you go training. I'm not going to say to you, if you go to that trainer and that trainer and that trainer, don't bother coming to me. You make your decision where you want to go. That's your choice. It's your dog. You pays your money. Would I recommend swapping trainers all the time? No, I wouldn't. Why? Because they all think different. But if you see a trainer you like, I believe sticking to that. So that's one thing that Ivan was talking about on that long essay that is, find a trainer that you can learn from. Well, hang on. Who am I going to go to? Can anybody recommend a trainer? And I'm a Gundog trainer, so I want Gundog stuff. Can anyone recommend a Gundog trainer that I can go to where I'm going to get sheer honesty? I'm going to get treated in a fair way. There's not going to be any sort of, why is he here? He knows what he's doing. Is he just spying on me? No. Where can I go to find that next level training? I'm not being rude. I'm not being a big head. There's far better trainers out there. But do they give it you in the same format? Do they give you such honesty? It's such a good feeling when you work your dog and people compliment you on how good they are, and they thank you, and I thank you for that, Chris. That is so true, isn't it? Sue Upton could train you, yeah, exactly. Dale McCluskey, let's go to Dale McCluskey, yeah. But I'm not being a big head. I'm not saying that I'm so much better than everybody else. I'm not. But I say it the way it is, and I'm only going to a trainer who says it the way it is. I'm not going to a trainer who's going to go, well, you know how to give discipline. I'm not going to show you. I want to go to a trainer that I can look up to and go, I learned from that man. And I've learned from people over the years, but it's hard. It's hard because they didn't want to give you everything. There's not many trainers out there with the honesty and integrity, what I found with Keith Erlandson. I found him a wise owl compared to me, an intelligent man, diplomatic. And I wish I was more diplomatic, but I can't not be me. I'm just me. But at the end of the day, I'm saying that if you were going to look for a trainer, always look for a trainer above yourself. And that's the only way you're going to improve. You're not going to improve if they're on the same par, they're doing all the same things. That's the whole point about having the honesty and integrity. There's some trainers out there there's a lot of trainers out there been far, far more successful than me. No problem at all. And they're good trainers. But they only tell you what they want to tell you. You don't see what level people will go to look for perfection. And I've gone past that. I've gone past all that. I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for balance with the client and the dog. I'm looking for the dog and the client to have fun. But on the odd occasion, I've got to step it up and give discipline. And if I've got to worry about everything I do because of the woke society we live in, or the handler may get triggered. My skill is to educate the handler and teach the handler and show the handler how the discipline works. But on the odd occasion, when you get a very headstrong dog, you have to step it up that some people have never seen. And they go, oh my God. No, they don't, because you've built them up to it. You've built them up to it by showing them affection with their dog, gameplay with their dog, the bond you can create with your dog, the eye contact you get, and yet the dog that then wants to push the boundary and you step in and show the discipline, don't get people going, oh no, give me your dog back, I'm leaving, you're too cruel. I've never ever had it. Never ever had it, because you buy the package. When you come here, you see the gameplay. You see how well trained my dogs were. And then you go, that's what I want. I want a dog that wants to do that as much as that dog. And when you tap into that and you teach that's why I don't believe in just going straight in and going, wham, bam, look at that. On the odd occasion, I may do, but not very often. I build it up. I build it up because it's a bigger picture than just discipline. It's a bigger picture than just discipline. I remember poor old Dale McCluskey. He used to stand in his garage talking non-stop, didn't he, and not training dogs. So many people seem to have the gift of the gab about waffle. But do they actually put the work in? There's a number of trainers I used to promote and I used to follow, and I got sick and tired of them. And I got sick and tired of them because I don't like their format, right? I don't like the way they portray themselves on TikTok. I don't think TikTok is a way to train dogs. I think it's a way to get people's attention. But each to their own. I'm not rubbishing anybody who uses TikTok and saying, I don't want nothing to do with you. What I'm saying is each to their own. But I don't think TikTok is, I think it's look at my dog, look at me, compared to a format where we discuss things. That's what we got the live feed for on a Sunday, as well as we got this on here. We talk about dog training on the odd occasion. How much have I talked about sex tonight? Come on, tell me. She's not in the background. While the wife is there, I'm thinking about sex all the time. Well, she's not in the background. I'm talking about dogs, aren't I? Hey? That psychology again. Think about it. We've got 7 thumbs up. I've been waffling for 52 freaking minutes. Ivan says I'm an idiot. I shouldn't be on the internet flogging my wares. But I'm not actually flogging my wares. I'm talking to like-minded people. And we haven't had much of a laugh tonight, have we? Well, there was a bit of a bromance going on there earlier, wasn't there? Something about how big is it? I'm not going to say who that was. I mean, it just got out of hand at one point. How big is it? How big do you want it to be? Oh, no, that's squirrel skins, wasn't it? Squirrel skins. So have we got any questions? We've got 27 people in the house at the moment. Have we got any questions? There must be some questions. If you ask me questions, I was watching Jim Davidson. He does something like this. And he's reading off Big and Fluffy. Stop it, Leanne, stop it. Do you know, when I was at school, how many of you are about my age? I won't even give you my age. Who remembers Tufty, the road safety squirrel? Remember Tufty, the road safety squirrel? Come on, you must remember Tufty, the road safety. Or is it just me, my age? The Tufty Club. Who remembers the Tufty Club? Yes, he did, Dave. He did sort him out. I spoke to him the other day about it, funny enough. Yeah, he sorted it. Oh, yeah, the Tufty Club. Yeah, so there you go. You are some of you my age, aren't you, roughly? The old Tufty Club, road safety. Jules' squirrel tails, when they arrive, they always remind me of Tufty, where he's been run over. Yeah, hey, Tracy, you're not that old. No way. No way. I'm too young. Yeah, right, Jules. Okay. Yes, Jules, right, okay. We're all going to chip together and send you a walking stick. No, I don't think you were, Leanne. I don't think you were. But I actually loved that. And do you know why I loved it as a kid? Because being dyslexic, I thought that was entertaining. And I enjoyed the Tufty Club. And I got involved with it because I found it fun. And if your teacher can keep keep the kids on board and interested, there's going to be less friction, isn't there? And that's the same about your dog trip. I had a Tufty Club badge. Peter Piper, so did I. So did I. And you could get to hold hands with the girls, couldn't you? Before you walk across the road. Remember that? It was fantastic. Tim Weston, how do you go about entering a dog in the shooting field when trained the what? I think he lost out of words. I think he meant the Corleone way, didn't he? The Corleone way. How do you go about entering a dog in the shooting field in competition, right? Is that what you mean? When trained the Corleone way. Whatever you do, don't tell them it's been trained the Corleone way. Because unfortunately, some people still don't want Chris Upton to get success. So if you said, I've trained it the Corleone way, that could knock you in the real world, in the competition world. So I'd keep that out of it, the Corleone way. What I would do is you need to join a number of clubs to begin with. So you have to find people who are members of clubs who are trialing people, and you have to ask them to second you and propose you. So you're going to need two people to propose you. So you need two people who know you, and then they can put you up and say, I know this person, and then you'll get entered into the club. And then once you've got your club entry, some clubs will let you run straight away, and some clubs you can't really run until you're 12 months down the line. So for anybody who wants to run in competition, the best way to do it, if you're really serious about running competition, is join about 5 or 10 clubs in your area or in the area that you're willing to travel, and enter those. But most people go down the test route first. They go and watch a couple of tests, or they go to a trial and they watch the trial and they think, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a go at that. I'll have a go at that. And to be honest, to begin with, I think that majority of the clubs are quite friendly to begin with. You don't really see the politics until you've been in it a while, or you're a real threat. Oh, you mean the general shooting field, Tim? Right, okay. So you've got to find someone who's got gun dogs and ask them where they go shooting. Is it a syndicate shoot, or is it an estate shoot? You know, where do they go shooting? It can be very expensive if you're a syndicate member on a big shoot, but there's lots of little farm syndicates. And I done a working test last week with my young dog. Come on then, Leanne, tell us what happened. Thumbs up. So it was good, was it? Yeah. So that's how you've got to find people with the same interest. So that's the way to do it, Tim. Really. If you tell us whereabouts you are, Tim, are you in Corleone? Are you on Patreon, Tim? Are you on Patreon? No, Leanne's in Hampshire. Yeah, but how did the dog go? You got thumbs up. How did it go? Did it win? How did you go? Was it a good indication of how well the dog is training? Tell us more. You've only got a minute and a half. We're all waiting. Come on. So if you're a member of Patreon, Tim, if you just ask that question in Patreon, we've got plenty of people around the country now who could probably reach out and help you and give you a bit of information where to go, who to get in touch with. Didn't unfortunately win. 48 out of 60. Were you pleased? That's good. 48 out of 60. Were you pleased with the standard? Whereabouts did you come? How many dogs? And whereabouts did you come in comparison with the scores? 48 out of 60. Was it a puppy test or was it any dog? And that makes a hell of a difference when you're running dogs. If you're running dogs in Hampshire, you came across to England. Bloody hell. Some of you people got money, ain't you? Hear that, Jules? She's loaded. She's loaded. Hampshire. 23 people in here. 8 thumbs up, and we're into an hour. There you go, everyone. Hope you've enjoyed this evening. We haven't really talked about just politics, have we? We haven't talked about the world, have we? We've missed out, haven't we? He was the youngest in the group. You're only giving us a little bit of information at a time, aren't you, Leanne? Come on, give us a little bit more. Bollocks, it is then. Thanks for the night. Thank you, David Jones. Cheers, mate. Nice talking. He's 18 months old. Well done. Well done. 18 months old. Well done. Did you wear the boots? That's what I'm interested in. Did you wear the boots? You know the boots I'm on about. Bollocks, guys. Have a good week. And you, Steve. Take it easy, mate. Hey, I see you had 3 lines on your chest the other day, Steve. 3 lines on your chest. Hey, did you manage to score? You left early. That's all, Steve. Good night, Frank Casey. Good night. Good night to you, sir. Yes, yeah, I did, Chris. Stop it. Send us a photo. Send us a photo. On that note, bollocks to you all, says Jules. And catch you all later. Chris Upton signing off. I'm going to sit down and relax with a Radox bath.